Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is a pro-revenge story. I recently joined forces with a small manufacturing plant in my area. Our agreement was based on capital investment and implementing new automation processes. Initially projected to take 2 years, but completed in just 7 months. It was a typical small facility with 60 production workers split between two 12-hour shifts, running 3 days on and 2 days off. Each shift had 2 production supervisors and 1 maintenance supervisor. The people and their attitudes ultimately led me to become more than just an outside contractor. This decision solidified when I worked the night shift for a week in early 2023 to oversee some line upgrades. That's where I met him. We'll call him Mike Thompson. Mike seemed okay at first, but then I heard him directing his maintenance crew over the radio. The way he spoke to these guys was shocking. They were just there to complete their nightly preventative maintenance tasks, unless something on the line broke and needed immediate attention. I'd never heard grown men spoken to like this, and never heard any pushback. He'd call them morons over the radio if they struggled with troubleshooting, label some as fat and useless, and even used racial slurs against one longtime employee. It made me want to back out of any commitment I'd made to this company. When I brought this up to the plant manager, Sarah, she brushed it off. "It's just friendly banter," she said. "We rarely get complaints about Mike." That was true, but only because anyone who complained, even anonymously, was always found out and then targeted until Mike fired them. Since no one would listen, I started documenting everything I heard on the radio. Date, time, witnesses, and which rights were being violated according to state and federal guidelines. I made this spreadsheet my project during my night shift stint, recording every incident I witnessed. One night, I saw Mike berating a 55-year-old worker named Tom who had requested 2 days off. Tom's nephew had just been in a car accident and needed multiple surgeries. Mike's tirade nearly made me lose my cool, but I knew it would jeopardize the information I was gathering. "You think you can just take off whenever you want, Tom?" Mike sneered over the radio. "This isn't a charity, it's a business. Get your priorities straight or find another job." Tom's voice was shaky when he replied, "Mike, please. It's just 2 days. My nephew—" "I don't care about your nephew," Mike cut him off. "Either you're here for your shift or you're not. Make your choice." After witnessing this, I knew it was time to act. I gathered all the maintenance guys and shared my documentation with them. They didn't seem to grasp its importance at first. "Nothing will change," one of them, Dave, said with a shrug. "Yeah, we've tried complaining before," another, Jack, added. "It always backfires." I explained, "The difference is in the details and evidence. Mike's constant use of the radio is actually working against him. Other supervisors have heard him too, making them unintentional witnesses. I even have some audio recordings backing up the written accounts." Their eyes widened as they realized the potential impact of this information. Each worker took their logs, and despite my investment in the facility, I urged them to at least petition for Mike's removal or threaten legal action. When they coordinated to expose all this in June 2023, it was like watching an underdog team win the championship. Not only did Mike finally get fired, but the entire atmosphere at the plant changed dramatically. Older machines started running better than ever, and people actually enjoyed coming to work again. A week later, when I returned, they had put a placard on my door. It said "Number 1 Boss," but "Boss" was crossed out and replaced with a hand-engraved "Badass." I took it down from the door, of course, but it's now proudly displayed in my home office. Probably the best thing I've ever received from a facility. As I wrapped up my project at the plant in early 2024, Sarah, the plant manager who had initially dismissed my concerns, approached me. "I owe you an apology," she said, looking genuinely remorseful. "I should have listened to you about Mike from the start. The change here has been remarkable." I nodded, appreciating her honesty. It's amazing what can happen when people feel respected and valued at work. "We've learned our lesson," Sarah assured me, "and we're implementing new policies to make sure nothing like this happens again." As I packed up my office, I couldn't help but feel proud of the transformation I'd witnessed. It wasn't just about removing one bad apple. It was about empowering an entire workforce to stand up for themselves and create a better working environment for everyone. The next one is an entitled people story. I never thought I'd be dealing with a real-life Karen situation, but here we are. It all started last summer when I moved into my new house. The place was perfect. Spacious rooms, a nice kitchen, and best of all, a huge backyard with a pool. After years of apartment living, I was thrilled to finally have some outdoor space to call my own. The first few weeks were great. I spent my weekends lounging by the pool, grilling on the patio, and just enjoying the peace and quiet, but that didn't last long. One Saturday afternoon, I heard voices coming from my backyard. I went to check it out and found a woman and 2 kids I'd never seen before splashing around in my pool. "Excuse me," I called out. "Can I help you?" The woman looked up, completely unfazed. "Oh, hello there! Beautiful day for a swim, isn't it?" I was so stunned I didn't know what to say at first. Yes, but this is my private property. You can't just use my pool without permission." She laughed like I just told a joke. "Don't be silly. This is the neighborhood pool. It's for everyone to use." "No, it's not," I said firmly. "This is my backyard, my house, my private pool. You need to leave immediately." Her smile faded and she narrowed her eyes at me. "Listen here," she snapped. "I've been bringing my kids to this pool for years. Just because you bought the house doesn't mean you can hog it all to yourself. That's not how things work around here." I was getting angry now. "Actually, that's exactly how it works. This is my property that I paid for. Now please get out before I call the police for trespassing." She huffed and puffed, but finally gathered up her kids and stormed off, muttering about how selfish and rude I was. I thought that would be the end of it, but boy was I wrong. The next day, I woke up to find a group of people in my backyard setting up for what looked like a birthday party. There were balloons, a cake, presents, the works. And right in the middle of it all was Karen from yesterday. I marched outside. "What the hell is going on here?" Karen smiled sweetly. "It's my son's birthday party. I told you this is the neighborhood gathering spot, always has been. And I told you yesterday that this is my private property," I said through gritted teeth. "Pack up and leave now or I'm calling the cops." "Go ahead and call them," she taunted. "They'll tell you the same thing. This space is for everyone. You can't keep us out." So that's exactly what I did. I called the police and explained the situation. When they arrived, Karen tried to feed them the same line about it being community property. But of course the officers informed her that she was trespassing on private property and needed to leave immediately. You should have seen the look on her face as she and her party guests were escorted off my lawn. I thought for sure that would be the last I'd see of her. But Karen wasn't done yet. Over the next few weeks, she tried everything to make my life miserable. She called in noise complaints when I had friends over. She let her dog do its business on my front lawn. She even started a petition to force me to open my yard to the neighborhood, claiming it was tradition. The final straw came when I caught her trying to cut the lock on my gate one night. That's when I decided enough was enough. It was time to take legal action. I hired a lawyer and filed for a restraining order against Karen. We gathered all the evidence of her harassment and trespassing, including security camera footage and police reports. When we went to court, Karen tried to argue that I was disrupting the community by privatizing a public space. But the judge wasn't buying it. Not only did I get the restraining order, but Karen was also charged with attempted breaking and entering for the lock incident. She ended up with a hefty fine and community service. The look on her face when the judge read the verdict was priceless. After that, things finally quieted down. Karen and her family moved away a few months later. I heard through the grapevine that none of the neighbors were sad to see her go. Turns out I wasn't the only one she'd been harassing with her entitled behavior. These days, I can finally enjoy my backyard in peace. I even hosted a big barbecue for my neighbors to show there were no hard feelings about the whole ordeal. Everyone had a great time, and not a single person tried to claim my property as their own. Looking back, I still can't believe how crazy the whole situation was. Who thinks they can just take over someone's private property like that? But I learned an important lesson about standing up for myself and not letting entitled people walk all over me. And hey, at least I've got a wild story to tell at parties now. The next one is a petty revenge story. Cross-post, delete if not allowed. Yesterday morning, I received an email notification from my credit card company stating a transaction for $1,500 at a med spa was declined, and another stating it was approved. I immediately called said CC company to report the fraudulent charge. Turns out my card has had fraudulent charges over the past 3 weeks with purchases including various hotels in my area, eBay, gas station, self-storage, and moving truck rental. I rarely use this card. The last time I used it in person was in February, and last online purchase in 2023. Fortunately, my CC company flagged all recent charges and closed my card. This morning, my significant other had a doctor appointment in the same city as a hotel purchase made yesterday. After the DR, BF asked me what I thought we should do today. I said, "Well, you wanted to shop for some new shoes, or we can swing by this hotel up the street and see if the credit card thieves are still there?" The amount seemed like it would cover 2 or 3 days. So BF and I go to the hotel to see if the people were still checked in and to let them know the card was stolen and the charges would be reversed. Front desk lady was pissed. She was able to find the reservation by card number and noted that the person had kept changing cards to pay for the room. Of course, they didn't tell me the room number, much to my BF's dismay. BF was hoping to get a room key to take their stuff. LOL, right? I called CC Company and they asked me to call the police. I called the sheriff department and they arrived within 20 minutes. I was surprised they even came. I gave them my report, ID, and credit card. The deputy asked if I wanted to prosecute. I said yes, but can I prosecute if my CC Company is going to refund all the money anyway? Then they went inside and spoke to the front desk who provided them the invoice. BF and I waited outside in front of the lobby. Then, through the automatic sliding doors, I hear the front desk lady yell, "That's him! He's trying to leave!" Light Hispanic dude with a bull terrier and several bags gets placed in cuffs. He gets brought outside, searched, and Doggo gets cuffed to a trash can. Then another little Asian guy gets brought out in cuffs. A third deputy arrives and brings out a fancy Asian lady with a face full of fillers, 2 suitcases, and a Coach backpack. 4 officers start going through the backpacks on the hood of their car. We see passports, IDs, credit cards. They pull out a big credit card printing machine and a laptop. Then they pull out a big Ziploc filled with crystal meth and the cop exclaims, "Here we go!" and turns towards us to flash a smile. 2 of them go back to search the hotel room and bring down 2 bags with more drugs, a scale, 4 car keys, and a big wad of cash. Unfortunately, none of the cars were in the parking lot and the perps said they had been traveling by Uber. The cops contacted one of the thief's friends to pick up the dog, who arrived pretty quickly. It was an older Asian dude with tattoos, flashy jewelry, and an old luxury SUV. Don't worry, we got his pics and license plates. All these guys seemed like characters out of The Brother's Son. The deputies then gave me all the paperwork and told me that one of the guys said they stole my card off of the internet. I would have guessed that they used a scanner while I was at the fair a few weeks ago. I find that so weird, BC. I haven't used my card online in almost a year. Apparently they made a physical card that had a different name on it. Anywho, I walk inside to give the front desk a copy of the incident number, and then I remembered something else. I remember seeing another transaction for a storage unit that was made yesterday and 2 charges at a rental truck company. I go back outside and talk to the sheriff and asked him if he wanted me to try to figure out where that was. I was able to track down the storage location to a city about 15 minutes away, but no can do on the trucks. I called the storage place, and they confirmed that a payment was made with my card but would not give me the unit number. From there, the sheriff said that it was out of their jurisdiction and they would try to get a search warrant, but that might take a while. However, it might be helpful if I made a police report with the other city. So, with nothing better to do, I drove my ass over there and made another police report regarding the storage unit. That's it for now. We'll update if anything else happens. In the meantime, I will call up the credit bureau to freeze my social security. Tell my dog to be on alert and load magazines. Any other suggestions? Also, Copper asked if I wanted to prosecute, but that was before the drug bust. So do I need a lawyer? Thanks in advance. The next one is a malicious compliance story. I was at my BF's house for a week. BF has planned a card tournament with his friends. Since I'm not interested in card games, I decided to stay in the bedroom playing games on his computer. I could hear them talking, but I didn't listen until I hear my name. Basically, the friends wanted some coffee, no big deal until one of them specifically wanted me to serve them. BF told him it was a bad idea, but he shrugged him off, saying that it was natural. The friend come to the bedroom and asked me to serve them coffee, and I say sure. When I come to the living room, BF and all the others boys were shocked. BF asked me if I was alright, and I told him with a big smile, sure. BF started to try hiding a smile before telling his friend I shouldn't have to serve them in his home since I'm a guest too. The others' friends were awkward, but the one insisting on me serving them doubled down saying he was right, and it's natural that as a woman, I serve them. The group told him he went too far, but I agree with him. The place of a woman is in the kitchen, with fire, blades, household product clearly not meant to be swallowed. Do you want a classic coffee or an aromatic one? BF has hazelnut, Irish, and caramel coffee too. By the way, did you know that cyanide actually smelled just like almond? Maybe that's why I never saw an almond coffee. We wouldn't notice if there is cyanide in it. BF burst out, laughing. The friend was dumbfounded, and I just continue. They choose a classic coffee. Sugar with the coffee. When I think about it, the most used weapon by women is poison. You know that product, antifreeze. Apparently it cannot be detected in the autopsy. That why he was so much uses to poison people, mainly husbands by their wife. The issues were so big that now we do a test specially to see if antifreeze is in the body. They choose no sugar. They ask that I change the subject, so I oblige. Did they know the movie Black Widow? The English title is Lamb to the Slaughter, TX by Old, and Rare Bumblebee 1803. And very old movie in black and white. It's about a wife who kill her unfaithful husband with a freezing leg of lamb with a hit on the head just like a baseball bat. She then cooks the lamb and even gives it to eat to the police when they investigate. It's fascinating how she uses her environment, the kitchen, to commit a crime. Do you want a cloud of arsenic in your coffee? Oh, did I say arsenic? I'm sorry, I wanted to say a cloud of milk. Don't worry, it's just a little slip of the tongue because I talk about poison for a while now. Someone asked why women uses poison that much. I just answered. That makes sense. After all, some men expect women to serve them and confidently eat everything they made. I don't know why, but at that very moment, the friend rushed to the kitchen, escort me out and say he will make his own coffee. I asked if he was sure. After all, I don't mind. I still have a lot of funny stories to share. Is it because of the mention of arsenic and cyanide? Don't worry, I'm sure BF doesn't have that in his house. BF was trying to regain his breath while laughing. He managed to say, "I told you so." I got forbidden to enter the kitchen until their friends left that day. I wonder why. I would have made these coffees. I just wanted to share my interest on investigations and crimes. The next one is an entitled people's story. Many years ago, an old boyfriend and I had reserved a camping spot in California for 7-4. It used to be you only needed reservations for popular campgrounds, but they developed a much-needed reservation system for all campgrounds. Reservations were a must because that year the 4th landed on a Wednesday, making campsites unavailable reserved for the whole week. The campground belonged to the state and was a walk-in-sight campground. For those not familiar with walk-in campgrounds, you park your car in a parking lot and walk about 1/4 mile to the campsite. Both at the parking lot and the entrance to the sites had signs stating that camping was by reservation only. We get there a little before check-in time and noticed a group of people had set up on our site and had left to go hiking or sightseeing. At 4 o'clock, the ranger arrives and we explain that someone is in our site and give him our reservation confirmation. We offer to move to the next closest site, but the ranger said all the sites were reserved. He told us he will have them move once they return. He also stated that the people didn't pay the day use fee either. To kill time, BF and I go for a hike and have a quick dinner of sandwiches. About 3 hours later, we get back to the campground, and the group is very slowly moving their things. There's 4 adults and about 3 kids. The adults are dragging out leaving by taking one thing at a time to their vehicles. To slow things down more, they had a pickup truck specifically for firewood and could only move a log or 2 at a time back to the pickup. You'd think they'd have a wheelbarrow for all that wood. It starts to get dark, so we bring out the tent and sleeping stuff for when the site is ready. We figured we could unpack the rest the next morning. As we were removing our things from the car, a member of the group confronts me. He got my name from the reservation list at the checking spot. He asked why I was so lazy as to not move to a space farther out. BF and the ranger told him to shut up. This only made the man angrier. His wife and his friends started to verbally attack us, telling us if we wanted the space so bad, then we should have gotten there before them. They kept insisting we invalidated our reservation by not being there early. Some other campers were watching the whole thing play out and offered us to hang with them and have cold beverages, which we gratefully did. By this time, the ranger had enough of their moaning and threatened to have local law enforcement trespass them. They finally get the picture and move everything out. We go to set up. I put some stuff on the picnic table when I noticed they left a nasty letter to us. In short, they blamed us for ruining their kids' 4th. They won't get to see fireworks, have s'mores, or see the stars at night. Instead, we have to go to a motel. Worse, they threatened confrontation if they see us around the area. I folded the letter up and gave it to the ranger the next day. The next one is an entitled parent story. For context, I work at a dance school. We have baby classes that are half tap class and the second half is ballet class. Those classes are for 3 to 5-year-olds. Mom calls the school phone and I pick it up because I'm available. Mom: "Hi, I'm looking for dance class for my 4-year-old. Me: "Great," proceeds to explain the class. Mom: "I don't want my child in tap shoes. Tap is the most dangerous dance form. Didn't you know? How can you allow small children to put themselves at risk like that?" Me: confused. May I ask why you believe tap is so dangerous? The worst thing that can happen is accidentally kicking yourself. Yeah, it hurts, but everything has a learning curve. Mom: "Well, I once bought a pair of tap shoes at a garage sale. When I wore them, I slipped on my kitchen tile and I could have died. I can't have my precious flower," yes, she really did day that, "at risk." Me proceeds to explain that tile flooring is inappropriate for a beginner in tap shoes and that dance studios have special flooring. Mom: well, I still don't know. Why don't you guys create a class for those who don't want their children in those nasty shoes? My daughter is homeschooled and this is the first time she will be doing any activity outside of the home. I want to make sure she won't be traumatized by a fall. It's not fair to make them do tap. Me: how old is your daughter? This is TV's first activity she's joining? How exciting! She will be able to try something new. Who knows? She might really love the tap. Plus, you can honestly trip and fall doing literally any activity out there, especially dance. Mom: she's 4. She's never done anything outside of our house except go to the doctor. I'm excited for her to start making friends. I just don't want her to die. The conversation got really repetitive after this, where she'd keep asking for a special class. I said she can either pay for private lessons, which I didn't actually recommend for that age at all, or she can go elsewhere. Our school is incredibly affordable, so most people want to stay with us but try to get us to bend to their needs. I told my boss, and my boss felt so bad that this toddler has had probably little to no socialization. We hope Mom lets her precious flower wear fun shoes that make sounds. If not, I pray that kid gets to get out of her house soon. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.